Deathcember is a pretty great film. This is a horror anthology from 2019. This is directed by many, many people. The full list will be in the description, and this is because it contains 24 short films, short stories. Now, those 24 films are across a little over 2 hours, but obviously they are quite quick, and that actually really appeals to me. While I don't mind horror anthologies where the segments are maybe a little longer, maybe they're 20 minutes each and there are only a couple in the film, I do prefer this quicker pace. It also means that if you don't really care for one of the stories, it's quick, we're moving on to the next one. So I think that also works really well. But that being said, I did rather enjoy this. I thought it worked really well. I loved the beginning. We had this gorgeous snowy scenery as we travel through a cemetery and some really great music plays. It was a really solid opening. And then the stories begin. And usually when I discuss horror anthologies, I will talk about each story in turn, share some very basic thoughts. I'm not going to do that with this one because, as I said, there are 24 stories, but I will share some very basic thoughts. So I'm not going to go into any real detail about what they're covering or what the topics or themes are, but they all do most of them have quite a strong festive feel. Some of them maybe not so much, but generally speaking, everything fits really well together. We have a lot of different festive scenarios. We have so many great decorations and festive costumes. Most of them really lean heavily into the Christmas aspect, which is obviously what I was looking for. They're all very fun. They're quite gory at times. We have some great editing. The transitions between them don't feel really jarring. I don't feel like we're being pulled immediately from one to the next without really having even just a couple of seconds to sit with them. And I think that's really important when they're really, really quick. And it's also very easy to tell when one ends and one finishes. No, that made no sense. When one ends and one begins, because they also feel very different. It's not just the same lighting and the same settings, but slightly different. They all have something a little different to offer, and as a complete package, I think it works really well. We also have across the board some great performances, some great music. Yes, as I said, there were occasionally some that were maybe not that interesting for me personally, but because they are really short, it doesn't matter. We quickly move on to something else that personally I would find more enjoyable. And because I prefer shorter, more snapshot anthologies, this might be one of the strongest I've seen, certainly in terms of Christmas horror anthologies, because there's so much going on. And also, they never felt rushed either. They never felt underdeveloped. Yes, there were some here and there where I maybe would have liked to have seen more of them, but that's simply because I was really enjoying them. So really, I don't have anything but praise for Deathcember. I thought it was a solid horror anthology. Obviously, if you don't like that quick pace, if you like anthologies to have slightly longer segments, fair enough, this one may not be as appealing. But if, like me, you like that really rapid pace and the ability to explore a lot of stories and characters, also because they're short, they get to the point really quickly. It doesn't take long to set them up or anything, and I just think for the most part they delivered really, really well. And if it sounds like a film for you, then I think Deathcember is definitely worth checking out.